Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 3060 Ti in Ghost of Tsushima. This one is the Founders Edition model of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers, and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups GPU 0. Accessible bar is also enabled, and this is the GDDR6 version, not the X. And over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 9 7950X3D with half of its cores disabled, making it very similar to a Ryzen 7 7800X3D. And over on the memory tab, we're using 32GB of DDR5 6000MHz RAM in dual channel. Let's get into it, shall we? Right, let's go over the settings first here in the launcher. We're playing at 1080p resolution first, and I'm also going to test this one at 1440p and 4K. And I'm using DLAA, which is by far the best anti-aliasing method in this game. It looks really, really good, way better than the TAA, which comes in by default, by the way. And on the graphics settings, I am using the very high settings preset right here with no motion blur and very high textures. Now, I'm not sure if it will work fine all of the time on very high texture, so we might need to drop it in a little bit, but let's try it out like this. All right, here we go. Beautiful sunrise right now, and look at that, guys. Very high settings is giving us around 80 frames per second with the RTX 3060 Ti. This is what I expect coming from a GPU of this caliber in 2024. Not freaking 50 FPS at 1080p low settings. Gray zone warfare, okay. That's an early access title still, but you know, it's a breath of fresh air seeing well-optimized games, and Sony has been doing a great job of optimizing their games. If only they didn't sabotage themselves with the freaking PSN account requirements. Anyway, this one at least you can play the single player without logging into PSN, but a lot of people still don't have access to the actual game and can't buy it because of the restrictions. Why? Anyway, moving on to the performance. Over in this area, it's actually dipping down into the 60s sometimes. 69 right there. I mean, a 69 FPS minimum is actually quite acceptable, isn't it? It's absolutely nice and perfect. And in terms of the VRAM utilization, everything seems to be pretty under control in that regard. Also, around here, it's dropping down into the mid-60s. Okay, getting more intensive. Yeah, you know what? I was expecting a little bit higher performance coming from the 3060 Ti still. You know, even though the game is actually well optimized by today's standards, the graphics aren't amazing, right? It has its unique art style, but still, I think it lacks a lot of detail in some areas. Ooh, dropping into the 50s, look at that. Things can get pretty intensive apparently, guys. Damn, 3060 Ti can't really handle 60 plus 100% of the time at the very high settings preset, apparently. That's, yeah, it's a little bit underwhelming. I really thought it would be able to hold that. But again, it's still stable, it doesn't stutter, and it is a good experience overall. So if you're at 1080p res with a 3060 Ti, you're still all back. You're still all set. God damn, stop hitting me, you bastard. Come on. God damn. All right, there we go. I got it. You're still all set, okay, with this GPU. Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there, guys, and I'm gonna try some dynamic resolution scaling to see if it keeps dropping into the 50s. The DRS in this game actually runs really well, you know, it's like in Horizon Forbidden West, and especially if you have DLAA enabled with DRS, it won't drop the resolution far enough for you to notice it when it drops from 60 FPS, because it only dropped to like 58 or 59, so it's going to drop like, what, 5% resolution at maximum, and things will look very, very good and sharp because of the DLAA still. So this is definitely a good option for those who want to max the game out still and have that 60 plus FPS experience all of the time without sacrificing pretty much anything. It is going to perform very well here at 1080p resolution, as you would expect coming from a 3060 Ti. Once again, wow, this is a new area of the map. I haven't really seen this one. Okay, everything is destroyed right here. That sucks. All right, let's see it around this area. We got some mud around here. Interesting. Different colors as well, you know, the browns. All right, and some more vegetation, more houses around here. It's not intensive at all. Yeah, it works quite well here with the 3060 Ti at 1080p, as you can see. Let's bump it up to 2560 by 1440, and I will disable the dynamic resolution. Ooh, look at that, guys. We're getting 16, 17. Ooh, okay, that was while it was swapping things into the RAM, okay, because we maxed out the VRAM there for a second, and now it's stabilized. And it's pretty decent at 40-ish frames per second, but I think I will restart the game and use high textures instead, because right now the frame time graph is a little bit more stuttery. You can see it's not as smooth and consistent as it was previously, right? Right, here we go. We got 2560 by 1440 right there, and on the texture quality, I'll use it on high. This is actually the opposite of what I used with the 3060. I used high settings with very high textures because of the 12 gigs of VRAM. All right, here we go. Look at the difference, guys. Just by lowering the textures, now that we aren't running out of VRAM, we're actually getting close to 60 FPS. Wow. That's an insane difference. Holy, definitely worth utilizing high textures and very high settings, everything else, instead of the very high textures and very high settings with 10 less FPS or so. Okay, still not good enough for 60 plus all of the time, or even 60 on average. Right now that we are riding around, it is dropping quite a bit from 60 into the mid-50s. But as soon as I stop riding the roach, it is going back to the 60s, as you can see. Not bad. And that VRAM utilization is at 6 gigabytes, so it's all good. Oh, come on, come on. Oh boy. Oh, let's go. All right. I'm good. I'm good. Come on. Gosh, damn bastards. All right. Let's go downhill here. Yeah, I guess this was the downhill version of mountain biking back in those days. Right? I really like mountain biking, by the way, in real life, you know. And I'm thinking of reviewing some bikes in the second channel. Not sure if I'm going to do that, but I'm just thinking here. Yeah, that's something that I like to do at least, and yeah, that reminded me of downhill. As we know, the game is very stable. It doesn't really matter where you are in the map. It's always going to be around the same FPS. Yeah, sometimes it gets like 10 more FPS, other times it gets like 10 less FPS, but it's not a huge range like we see in other games like Apex Legends, for example. That game can go from like 60 FPS inside smokes and ultimates to 200 FPS. In calmer areas of the map. Let's stop it there though, and let's play it with some DLSS on quality. Now, at 1440p, doesn't really matter too much if you set DLSS to quality or play with dynamic resolution scale plus DLAA. In theory, yes, the DLAA plus dynamic resolution scaling will look better, but if you want to use DLSS quality, it will be smoother. Instead of getting like 60 to 70 FPS, we're now getting 80 FPS or so, close to that. And on a high refresh rate monitor, that's the first stutter that I've ever seen in this game, I think, or maybe the second one actually. Anyway, doesn't matter. On a high refresh rate panel, and I am using one right now, you can actually feel the difference between like 75, 80 frames per second and 60 to 65. It feels much smoother this way, and I think it's worth utilizing the DLSS quality instead of the DRS60. Although, if you are pixel peeping, DRS60 with DLAA will look a little bit better and sharper. And this way, you also lower the VRAM utilization slightly, since it's running a lower resolution and then upscaling to 1440p. So yeah, it's win-win. Slightly loose scenario, I guess. But I'll still utilize some DRS60 with the LAA a little bit later. I didn't do it with the 3060 because I forgot. There's a fox right there. Wait, Fox Den. This is a place. Okay. We can find a lot of foxes. Hello? What the fox say? Also, I wish we could actually adjust the sharpness of the image a little bit, because it would make that little tiny bit of a difference here at 1440p DLSS quality compared to the DLAA. It would put it basically the same as the DLAA, whereas this is just slightly, ever so slightly softer. You can't really see any shimmering or anything. It still looks really, really great overall. So there's that. And it gets 80 FPS average, which is phenomenal in a game like this, single-player title, you know? It will feel really, really smooth. I forget that this guy attacks 3 times in a row, although he doesn't have the body to do that, right? Like, doesn't feel like it, at least. God. Okay. Come on. I want to kill these. I need to kill the smaller ones first. Let's go. No. Oh, there's an archer as well somewhere. Come on. Okay, there we go. I'm good. Just shut up, boy. Big boy's down. There we go. I wish we could actually pick up their weapons and start hitting the other ones with it. Like, that would be fun, right? I think so. We could do that in Assassin's Creed 2, and I had a lot of fun doing that around the streets of Italy. What is inside of here? What is inside? I can't see. Like, it's so dark in these areas with shadows. Nothing is here. What were they keeping? A ghost. All right, I'm going to stop it there then. 83 FPS average, 64 1% lows. We've been to an area with a little bit of water as well. Not intensive. It runs just fine like this. Like, see, the 3060 Ti is still capable of 1440p gaming. Absolutely. Even if you need to utilize some DLSS or some dynamic resolution scale to achieve 60 plus FPS, it is still a 1440p experience. It looks better in 1080p. And this game with DLSS quality definitely does look better than a lot of other titles, recent ones mostly, even at native resolution because of terrible uses of TAA and stuff, which make the games look really, really soft. This doesn't suffer from that, so yeah. Alright, anyway, the DLAA plus DRS60 is what we're using right now. I can see that, like, at the distance everything is very similar. And even up close, I guess everything is still very similar to DLSS quality. Maybe I can see a little bit more detail on my armor, actually. It's slightly sharper than it was with DLSS quality, you know, but it's not that big of a difference. I think, honestly, guys, on a 27-inch 1440p monitor, I would use DLSS quality and enjoy those extra 20 frames per second at a high refresh rate because it feels really, really good. This also feels really, really good. It's 60 FPS after all, and it's more than enough for a single-player game like this. But yeah, you choose whatever you want. I'm just sharing my opinions with you guys. And what is this place? It's a huge castle right here. Holy! Will they open the doors for me? Hello? I don't think so. Maybe they will? They just... They did something. They sounded the horn or whatever, but I died. Now, lastly, let's try 4K resolution. And not sure if this is gonna work well. Probably not. Yep, VRAM is already maxing out and swapping into the RAM. And now we need to restart it and probably play with like medium textures for it to work properly. You know what? I will still launch it with high textures because I think it was still applying things, and it's possible that it will run a little bit better after a restart, even keeping the high textures, you know? And indeed, that is the case. Look at that, we're getting 30s right here. Low 30s at times. It might drop into the 20s in some scenarios, and it will definitely slow down once VRAM allocation starts hitting 8 gigabytes and the usage as well. I mean, in these Sony games, the allocation seems to matter more than the usage itself. You know, like, we've seen the same thing in Forbidden West. When the VRAM allocation hits the maximum VRAM amount of the GPU, it starts swapping already. It's really weird. It should only start swapping when the VRAM usage is maxed out, because that's what it's actually utilizing. But it doesn't seem to be the case with these games, at least Forbidden West. This one might be a little bit different. Right now, the allocation is definitely maxing out, but the usage is not, and it still hasn't swapped anything into that RAM pool. So, all right, maybe they've optimized the memory allocation stuff in this one a little bit better. All right. Already stuttered a little bit there. Maybe it was swapping some things because the RAM now went up to 12 gigabytes. And it's starting to slow down slowly but surely. So you don't, yeah, another little stutter right there. RAM probably filled up, VRAM probably filled up, and the RAM went up again. So that will happen from time to time. It's not a good experience. So let's move on, try to test it with medium textures instead. Right, here we go. This is the Fox Den again, my friends. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? It's probably one of the prettiest areas of the game. Or not, because there are some pink areas and purple areas and red areas with a lot of red colored leaves and so on, and they look beautiful. But hey, as you can see, this is what we get. It's still getting around 30 frames per second at 4K very high settings, which is very impressive still for a 3060 Ti. It's a 4-year-old GPU. It's very powerful, especially when it came out. It was very powerful. It was one of my favorite GPUs at the time, actually. And I played a lot of games with it, even at 4K res, but usually with some DLSS. And I think this is where it's going to shine when using DLSS at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and try that out, guys. I'm going to use DLSS quality first. Here we go, getting 50s now. It's definitely performing better in the 3060. Even on high instead of very high, the 3060 was getting around like 45 FPS with DLSS quality at 4K, even though it has more VRAM, you know. Doesn't really matter too much here because we are using medium textures, so the VRAM usage is around like 5-ish gigabytes and the allocation is 6. No problems there. This roach, man. I love this roach from this game. It's one of the best roaches that I've ever seen. Amazing stuff. And yeah, it's apparently is getting maybe slightly lower FPS than what we saw at 1440p native resolution, right? Oh, roach can't really jump that one. Come on, roach. Hello? Come over here. There we go. Now you could jump that, right? It just teleports around, of course. Anyway, this isn't really that 60 FPS experience, but it's close enough to where it doesn't really matter too much. Enable some G-Sync, enable some motion blur, maybe if you like that stuff. Play with the controller, and it will still deliver a better experience both visually and performance-wise compared to something like a PS5. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. All right. Okay, I saved you, buddy. I saved you. Bear, why are you doing this to me? Why? Come on, buddy. Come on. Don't. All right. It's all good. Roach. Roach, help me here, please. I don't want to kill Bear. Roach doesn't care. He's running away. He disappeared. Where is he? All right. Maybe we will need to kill Bear over here. I don't know. Yuck. Okay, okay, let's try it. Come on! Come on! Jesus! No, 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 no. The boy is strong. The boy is definitely very strong. Alright, we got him. We got him. I'm gonna stop it there, though. This is still not 60 FPS. But maybe... Oh, I like that the wind keeps going, at least over here on Roach's things, you know? Even when we are in this menu here. But yeah, quality DLSS won't really be enough to push 60 FPS. Maybe balanced the DLSS will be. I doubt it, though. It still should drop into the 50s, yep. So this would probably be enough for like a 60 average experience. But remember, this right now is where I would probably heavily consider dynamic resolution scaling on 60. Turn this off, use DLAA, because now it will be at 60 FPS most of the time with slight drops here and there, but those won't be noticeable at all. It's only to like 59, so who cares? Don't run away from me, Roach! I am here calling for you! I'm not there! Maybe it's doing echo or something. Holy crap, is this game realistic in some ways? It's not, okay? Look at the grass, guys. It's probably gonna come off really badly on YouTube because of the compression, but even the grass at the distance, it's moving with the wind, and it's high detail. It barely looks like I'm using upscaling at 4K. This works extremely well, guys. Gosh, what the hell is that aim, dude? Who did that? Who did that? Was it you? Probably. Goodbye, sir. I'm done with you. Stop. And you stop as well. Gosh, do you really think you can kill me? Do you really think you can kill me? I heal myself. The other one is the worst. Come on. Goodbye, sir. Yeah, this is going to be stable. 60 FPS. No problems. Whenever it would get below 60 FPS, which is pretty much at all times, it will lower down the dynamic resolution scale. And at its minimum, it's probably gonna drop it close to like 50% or performance DLSS, and honestly, it doesn't really look bad. So it works really, really well like this. It's buttery smooth. VRAM allocation and the usage aren't maxing out. They are far from it. Super stable experience. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. Let me know if you're playing the game with 3060 Ti and you're enjoying it, and if you are planning on buying it, feel free to do so. It works very well with this GPU. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.